Hare Krishna.
It's my pleasure to be here at NOFRA, among the naval officers, and you all taking out your time in spite of so much going on within the campus and so much going on in Bombay. Usually we have a barometer, a way to test the sincerity of our audience. The first parameter that we usually gauge is that if it's raining heavily, and in spite of heavy rains, if someone turns up for our program, then we give them level 1 ranking, or level, if you go the other way, then the level 3 ranking. The second level by which we gauge is that if there is a India-Pakistan cricket match, and in spite of that, if somebody comes or turns up for a Bhagwat Gita class, then we give them level 2 ranking. ये बंदा क्या है कि वहाँ पे मैच छोड़ के, of course आज इंडिया पाकिस्तान का तो नहीं है, लेकिन IPL चल रहा है. So I should say, should all congratulate each other by giving a clap that you took out time to come. We are curious about level 1. इसके आगे और क्या हो सकता है? इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच के आगे और क्या हो सकता है जिसके कारण लोग को इतना बड़ा level 1 रैंकिंग मिल सकता है? Any guesses? Level 3 was heavy rains. Level 2 was cricket match. What could be level 1? Somebody's birthday and anniversary has come. Okay, good guess.
After office, if somebody is reading their option.
After office, how many of you coming from the office today? So must have been at level 1. What's your name, sir?
I'm going to Purushottam Bhagwat.
Purushottam Bhagwat.
Bharadwaj.
Bharadwaj. What a name. Any other guesses here? I'm talking from a typical, ISKCON or satsang programs. Level 1 where we gauge is that there is a class announced, and it is also announced that after the class there is no dinner. And in spite of that, if somebody turns up, तो ये तो सही में भगवत गीता सुनने आया है, वो क्लास के बाद जो मिलने वाला है थाली में उसके लिए नहीं आया. And you all at least qualify for 2, level 1 and level 2, because it's a new program. We didn't know how many will turn up, all the registrations were there, so we didn't arrange an elaborate dinner. Maybe if numbers get fixed, we'll arrange that. And level 2 is definitely cricket. So before we begin, let's offer prayers for teachers that have preserved the spiritual wisdom of India from the Vedas. You can follow along with me as I invoke these blessings of our teachers. कृष्णपादा सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। My deep gratitude to Paresh Koleji, who has revived his own interest to go deeper into his own spiritual journey, and I've been seeing him often at the ISKCON Chowpatty temple. I don't know how many of you are aware of the area called as Bhagwat. So there we have a ISKCON temple, ISKCON Chowpatty, Shri Gopinath. Please do visit if you come that side. And he's been, coming very gracefully, excellently in understanding and application of the Gita. Once in one of mandir, a sadhu who is not from our sect had come to stay. And after staying for a few days, we asked him a feedback that do you have any feedback to give to us? And he said that something is happening to the people that are coming to your doors. And because I observed this phenomenon that's happening, when people are coming to your doors, I would like to rename your organization's name into something else. So what would be that, sir? Sir, I have been seeing that लोग मुंह लटका के आ रहे हैं क्योंकि इतना बोझ है. You know, if you carry a stick and if there is lot of load on it, how does it go? It bends. ऐसा हो जाता है. And that's why the smiley emoji of sadness is how? Why? Because so much load is there, खुद का और बाकी लोगों का. तो जब बोझा लेते हैं तो मुंह लटक जाता है. तो he was saying that जब आपके इस मंदिर में जब लोग आ रहे हैं, I'll be combining Hindi and English. Is it okay? Because Bombay people like mix. तो वो जो मुंह लटका हुआ है इस गीता का ज्ञान and seeing, hearing the kirtan, having the prasad, somehow their anxieties, their stress, their burden is alleviated. And because of that, when they are going out of the temple, because that burden is gone now the curvature is upside, which is the smiley picture. And then he said, आपका संस्था का नाम ISKCON है ना, इंटरनेशनल सोसाइटी फॉर कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस. आपका संस्था का नाम बदल दो मुस्कान. ISKCON to मुस्कान. And in fact, the whole message of the Gita is that अर्जुन का भी मुंह लटक गया था. कोई यहाँ पे है जिसका मुंह लटका नहीं था अभी तक, कोई बोझा के कारण, स्ट्रेस के कारण, एंजाइटी के कारण. We all are battling three spaces. One is in our own mind, with our own priorities. क्या करना चाहता था और क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं, or I want to do this but there is so many pressures, or my own mind is not clear. What do I want to do? In the morning, 5 a.m. when the alarm rings, one part of my brain is saying, सोचा लगा काम तो 8 बजे चालू होता है, 9 बजे चालू होता है. Other part of me is saying, hey, you are a naval officer. You have to be fit. Therefore, get up and go for jogging. We have this dilemma. We see a nice, pizza or puri, sabji. You want to have it, but then your health or your wife or not is having a look. ये खाना चाहिए कि नहीं चाहिए. It's a battle. Life so, and then there is battle with others, in the family, in the work, and that's why hearing the Gita is of utmost importance. Because how do we not be neglectful of our duties, at the same time not get so overwhelmed by our duties that we are dissolved and we don't have any existence beyond that. शादी करते हैं, शादी के पहले 1-2 साल जब तक बच्चे नहीं होते तो you are individuals. After that you are only parents. You are no more individuals. Your entire existence is for. Is it right or is it wrong? But it's a dilemma. And therefore the Bhagwat Gita is very important for us whenever we face life's dilemmas. How do we address them? How do we tackle them? There is, as they say, there is fight or flight. भाग लो या भाग लो. कुछ लोग कुछ परेशानी आती, कोई कुछ बोल देता है तो अपना उसको ऊपर करके कौन है रे तू, I will show you who am I. And some others, like I've seen this scenario many times in local trains. यहाँ पे all of you have traveled in local trains, Bombay local trains. It's an experience. One of our devotees has written an article, 10 lessons of Bhagavad Gita that you can learn from the local train experience. तो एक बार एक बड़ा सा व्यक्ति, he stepped on a guy which is common, you step on other toes, and this gentleman, he immediately shouted, कौन है रे? कौन है जो मुझे ऐसा storm कर रहा है? And when he saw who the person is much greater height and stature, so he couldn't shout on him because his fear was he only stormed me. He didn't kick me out of the train. If I say anything, he has such capacity, he will kick me only. So then he was very, sir, thoda dekh ke kijiye, please be mindful. But the same guy, if the stature is less, even at work it may be happening. Same activity, based on who does, you have to respond differently. And once then on an office, the boss cracked a joke. Everyone was laughing, except one guy who was sitting quiet and no emotions, stoic. So the boss asked him, joke अच्छा नहीं लगा क्या तुमको? And this man replied, sir, I resigned yesterday. How many understood the joke? I resigned yesterday. कल तक जबरदस्ती हंसना पड़ता था आपके ये फालतू जोक्स पे. But today I just came to collect my belongings. I don't have to what do you say? Draw the line. What is the saying? Toe the line. I don't have to toe the line. So, in life, what response do we take? Fight or flight? Because Arjuna in the beginning, he wanted to take the response of Bhagwat. I want to take a flight back to Hastinapur. From Kurukshetra to Indraprasth, I want to take a flight. I want to go back. But Krishna, he stopped him. And the whole journey of Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna's main concern was that are you happy in what you are doing, or are you forced to do what you are doing just to live up to other people's expectations? Because many times in life, 80% of the choices we make is to prove to other people that I am good.
Yes.
And we never actually live our life because we are always constantly looking for social validation. कि लोग मुझे बोलना चाहिए कि ये अच्छा करते हैं, और कहीं पे कुछ गलती पकड़ लेंगे तो आप देखो the careers we take, the dresses we wear, it's all based on social pressure. Arjuna was having immense social pressure. At the same time, ethical pressure. That this is not the right thing to do. If all my relatives are killed, whom will I enjoy with? Once I met McKinsey's CEO, was living in a sea-facing apartment in Bandra, huge house. But his wife had issues with him, and then she moved out, earning 1 crore per month. But no one to share his joys with. So is such a life any happier? And because we are all of the Naval Commission of India, first of all, my deep gratitude for taking up this task of protecting India from so many enemies that can come through the waters. You may not be upfront doing it, but you're part of this raksha that is needed. And you're very close to Arjuna in the profession. Arjuna was a warrior, and you are in that field of defense. So therefore, Gita is most important for you both in the workplace and also in your own personal lives. So we are going to cover 3 topics. The Bhagavad Gita in 3 topics. And this is like a summary and overview. It will also help you gain some points for application. And if interest persists, you may dive deeper. The first topic that we want to take is on these 3: mind, intelligence, ego, and atma. There are these 4 faculties, 4 things that come up in the Bhagavad Gita. We are also aware what exactly do they, how do they exactly interpret. And this is a course that we have been doing since last 25 years at ISKCON. I myself, I studied at IIT Bombay as Prabhuji's convening. And in my first year as I was going through different books in IIT Central Library, one book stood out for me. And that book, the name of that book was Science of the Self. I'm a quantum physicist by education, in around 8 courses in quantum physics. But when I read the title of the book, I was floored. That भाई यहाँ पे मैं पूरा एटम को जानने की प्रयास कर रहा हूँ और दुनिया को जानने का प्रयास कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन खुद को जानने का प्रयास कर ही नहीं रहा हूँ. Because we ourselves, to understand ourselves is a science. Who are we? What are we? Why are we? Where are we? And if you don't know this, and if you try to find everything else, इसलिए खुद भूखा है, दूसरों को बांटो. अगर खुद तो जानो अपने आप को, तुम्हारा की परिचय. And it is not something theoretical, theological discussion. Knowing yourself. It has very pertinent applications for our day-to-day life, for our life decisions. Because every activity that we do is based on the identity that we narrate ourselves. Your identity determines your activity. If you identify yourself as a victim, then your activity and your feelings will be like that. If you identify yourself as a Bharatiya, Indian, then your activity will be dependent on that. If you identify yourself as a terrorist, then your activity will be dependent on that. Therefore, this topic, science of self, what is my composition? I know water's composition, I know benzene's composition, I know how INS Vikranta composition, some of you know. But if I have to navigate my own system through all these turbulent times, turbulent people, मुझे पता तो रहना चाहिए. Like one of my friends jokingly says कि पहले मुझे समझाओ उसको क्या समझाना है. We are trying to sort things out, but we ourselves are not sorted. One of my friends, Brahmacharis, was recently coming to the temple, and at a signal he saw one man trying to direct the traffic. So sometimes these traffic signals they just go off. So he was trying to direct. अभी तुम इधर जाओ, तुम उधर जाओ. At first he appreciated it. This guy is taking out his time and directing the traffic. And then he saw this guy was having a bottle of wine in one of his hands. He's not in his senses. Activity may be doing, may be right, may not be right. But can you trust somebody who is not regulated to regulate something? ये ऐसा बम है वो कभी भी फट सकता है. वो कैसे किसी को और प्रोजेक्ट को नेविगेट कर सकता है. So this four things are all Krishna explains the hierarchy of these four elements that we discussed in the third chapter of Gita. It's been, I'll just read out. I wanted you to read this out. Indriyani param bhur indriyebhya param mana manasastu para buddhi yo buddhi parasastu saha. So Krishna is telling about how is the structure of our self, of our inner world, understanding our own frame of the mind. Our inner self, first of all, has this faculty called the mind, manas, the mind. And what the mind? Mind is a receiver. It constantly receives whatever is being fed to it through the 5 channels of eyes, ears, nose. उससे वो receive कर रहा है. It's almost like the waves in the ocean. The waves and the wind in the ocean. It's coming from different directions, different inputs are coming to the mind. And the mind is receiving all these inputs. Then there is the intelligence which filters what thing in the radar or in the signal to be taken prominence, the decision maker, the filter. And then N is ahankar, is how do we narrate to ourselves who we are, our perception of our identity, not what is our identity, our perception of our identity. Our founder Sri Prabhupada tells a story that once one of India's long back prime ministers had gone to a mental asylum to check how is the things. And he went to one place and this mad guy, he came to him, to the prime minister, and he asked him, "Kaun hai aap? Who are you?" And the prime minister certainly said, "I am the prime minister of India." And this mad guy said, "Don't say that, because I used to say that and they put me here." अगर आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर नहीं हैं और आप अपने आप को अगर प्राइम मिनिस्टर समझते हैं तो आपको क्या बोलेंगे? पागल बोलेंगे. कोई है एग्जाम्पल पागल? पॉलिटिकल सर्कल, यू मे हैव सम माइंड्स, डोंट से दैट. What do we narrate to ourselves who we are? Duryodhana, his narrative, Dhritarashtra's narrative was that I deserve to be the king. That is what is ahankar. How do we make our identity? Often it is also called as false ego. And then there is the deep self, the true self, which is Atma, which doesn't change by different narratives. There is this verse is where Krishna gives an example of a boat, Naga. Called Negi. Negi comes from the Sanskrit word Naga. Naga means a boat. So this is a verse which I guess you can all see this, right? So you can all recite line by line with me. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano vidiyate tadasya bharati pragya vayor navam ivambasi. Krishna is saying our life, our identity, we are like a boat in an ocean. Now you all have traveled in a boat in different ships, very prestigious ships, important ships. But we ourselves are a ship that is traversing in the ocean of sense objects of the world around us. And the wind is coming from different directions. The temptations, the suggestions, advices are coming from all different directions. The sensual inputs are asking you to go and see. Have you been to South Africa? Come and see the kangaroos in Australia. I do travel to West. So if you go to New York, in New York they'll advertise about Hawaii. Come to Hawaii, very peaceful place. And if you go to Hawaii, they'll advertise about New York. So जो यहाँ है वहाँ जाना चाहता है और जो यहाँ है वो वहाँ जाना चाहता है. And if you are constantly pushed by the social and social media pressures, can you navigate your life to some destination? You can't. If you just say, I will go by the green signal, जहाँ पे भी green signal मिलेगा मैं गाड़ी लेके जाऊँगा. You will reach nowhere. You have to have a particular destination and purpose, and you also need to know how do I navigate the winds, the temptations, the pressures, the responsibilities. किसको कितना time देना चाहिए, energy देना चाहिए. If we don't navigate this within ourselves, sometimes some petty issues become the cause of breakup in relationships. छोटी छोटी बातों में बड़े बड़े झगड़े होते हैं. Do you agree? Starts with small. One of the couples had come to Swamiji, Radhanath Swamiji, and they were saying that no, we want to separate. And the husband said, she doesn't respect me. And the wife said, he doesn't understand me. है ना, ये स्टैंडर्ड डायलॉग है ना. हस्बैंड यूजुअली से ये मुझे रेस्पेक्ट ही नहीं करती. एंड वाइफ्स थिंक हस्बैंड शुड अंडरस्टैंड मुझे क्या चाहिए और क्या कर रहा है. सो शी व्हाट स्वामी जी वांटेड टू क्लैरिफाई क्या हुआ, व्हाई डू यू फील. And the husband said, when she cuts the break, when she breaks the bread, she gives me the last piece of the bread. How many of you like the last piece of the bread? वो पूरा जला हुआ रहता है, खड़ा खड़ा. कोई नहीं था. You like? Okay, yeah, it is one supporter of the husband is there. The wife is there. So husband was saying that ये मुझे बाकी सब पीसेस है अच्छे अच्छे कोमल मस्त पीसेस है ब्रेड के, ये मुझे आखिरी पीस देती है जैसे कुत्ते को देते हैं ना आखिरी पीस. And no offense to dogs if you have, वो मुझे आखिरी पीस उड़ा. मैं कुत्ता हूँ क्या? बाकी सब वो खुद खाएगी या अपने इन-लॉज को देगी, अपने हमारे इन-लॉज को देगी. And then he asked wife, why do you give the last piece? And the wife said, in our culture, our strain, where I brought up, the last piece is considered the best piece and you have to serve to the best person that is there. They were from different continents. One was from Europe, another was from South America. And in Europe, no, the middle part is considered the best. In South America, the last part is considered the best. बस ब्रेड के ऊपर हो गया डाइवर्स तक की बात. Things develop like that. So if you don't navigate different difficult, because जब सही और गलत के उसमें है तो it's easy to decide. This is right, this is wrong. But when we have to decide between right and right, for the child to play, is it important? It's important. For the child to study, is it important? It's important. Can he do both at the same time? He can't. और फिर पति पत्नी में झगड़ा होता था. उनको तो कुछ पढ़ी ही नहीं इसके बारे में. So Krishna is saying, if you don't navigate the sensual inputs and the social inputs, केवल हमारा ही नहीं, दुनिया भी बोलती रहती है. वो गधे की कहानी सुना आपने? Once a father and a son, उन्होंने गधे को खरीदा और लेके जा रहे थे गधे को. तो कोई आया, अरे गधा खरीदा लेकिन दोनों ऐसे ही चल रहे, गधे को इस्तेमाल तो करना चाहिए. ऐसे ही खरीद के नो किसी का वो तो बॉम्बे में गाड़ी खरीदते हैं लेकिन चलाने के लिए जगह ही नहीं है. तो पिताजी को लगा सही बोल रहे हैं, तो बेटे को बिठा दिया. कुछ देर के बाद कोई और आके बोला कि बेटे को कुछ अक्ल ही नहीं है, सम्मान ही नहीं, पिताजी को चला रहा है और बेटा खुद सवारी है. So then the father sat, the son was okay. Then somebody else came and said, क्या पिताजी यार आप, हाँ बेचारे बच्चे को चला रहे, खुद सवार हो रहे. दोनों बैठ गए. जब दोनों बैठ गए तो एनिमल प्रोटेक्शन वाले आ गए, पेटा वाले, और बोलने लगे क्या अत्याचार है, दो लोग बैठ गए गधे पे. What is this? So they didn't know the whole problem is with this donkey. उन्होंने गधे को पानी में ताल में डाल दिया. Sometimes you can shun away with problems, जिसके कारण प्रॉब्लम. बट ये समाज ना बोलते ही रहेगी, इनपुट्स देते ही रहेगी और हमारा जिंदगी की नैया घूमती ही रहेगी. When I was a small little child, these loose clothes were a fashion. When I was a teenager in 20s, tight clothes were a fashion. And now if you go to West, one of my friends, Jay Shetty, Ghanshyam Priyababu, he once came to Mumbai to give a talk on 8 Rules of Love. And when I went to attend his talk, वो नाइट ड्रेस पहन के आ गया. रात को पहनते ना एकदम खुला नाइट ड्रेस जैसा पहन के आ गया. और बड़े दीपिका पादुकोण आए थे उधर, बड़े लोग थे और ये ऐसे घूम रहा है ऐसा खुले. तो later I texted him. I didn't understand. Your talk was great, content was great, but I didn't understand your dressing sense. The clothes were too, it's as if दो लोग उसमें और घुस सकते उसमें. And he said, right now in the West, oversized clothes are a fashion. कि आपने ऐसा लगेगा कि कोई मोटा व्यक्ति का आपने पहन लिया, ऐसा खुला है, वो फैशन. And if you go by this, you will constantly fashion keeps changing. छोटा चश्मा, बड़ा चश्मा, so many things. So therefore you have to have a proper mechanism to navigate our life. Otherwise Krishna in this verse is saying you will be swept and you will go nowhere. Like that monkey. So the hierarchy, the whites for him. But can you all see this?
We can see it.
इसको भी लगा, वो शायद. But this topics are okay. इधर कुछ नहीं है, ये बंद है. Yes, thank you. So in the Vedas, in the Gita Upanishad, our body and our whole setup is compared to a ratha, chariot. And in this chariot, the horses which drive us, just like senses drive us, we want to eat something, and because of this desire to eat, we go to different restaurants. In Bombay we call us cow gullies. खाने के लिए बहुत सारी गली है. And then our ears drive us. I want to hear, go and hear this particular singer sing. So these five senses are like those horses that drive the body to different places. And the issue is that when these senses are driving us, they are all driving us to different places. And the mind is like the reins that is caught by the charioteer, which is the buddhi. And then there is the Atma, the passenger who is sitting. And this is given in the Katha Upanishad, the map of our body. Of course, in a naval example, the ship is your body, and then the engines that are driving the ship are the senses, and the steering wheel is the mind that can guide the engines, its capacity, its direction, and then the captain, the navigator, is the intelligence, and the Atma is the admiral or the chief of the ship. And if we are driven by the senses, if we are just driven by this tongue, कि जो कुछ भी चाहिए खाते रहो, will we land in a safe place, happy place? Temporarily maybe. आज पानी पूरी, कल पूरी पानी, कल पूरी पानी, recently हो जाएगा. To constantly just going by this tongue. And क्या लोग बनाते हैं इस tongue को मजाक देने के लिए. स्प्राइट का डोसा बना देते हैं, and आइसक्रीम का पकौड़ा बनाते हैं. And what to speak in the West, all types of animals are killed to just titillate the senses, this tongue. One of my friends was from Africa. When he read the Bhagwat Gita, he became a devotee. And in his tribe, the delicacy was that the table रहता था, टेबल के बीच में होल रहता था, और वो होल में monkey को घुसा देते थे. And then they used to chop off the monkey's head and then eat like a dish and put a straw and drink. Just ये 2 इंच के टंग के लिए we are driven to commit all types of issue things that will damage our health, our mental health, or the planet. So therefore, to understand that I need to have a regulation. That's what the first verse of the Gita was. Now we will spend more time, because to say no to the senses is not that easy. Mark Twain, he said, it's very easy to quit smoking because I have done it many times. सिगरेट छोड़ना बहुत आसान है, मैंने बहुत बार किया है. मतलब इतना आसान नहीं है to say no. आज क्योंकि वो चीज खाया था तो कल परेशान हो गए, बोले कि अगली बार से ना मैं बैंक्वेट में जाऊंगा, किसी के शादी के बैंक्वेट में. I will not try to go and taste everything that is on the menu, because if you try to taste everything that is there on the menu, then tomorrow you will see the stars. The mind was gut is designed to produce a particular type of juices to digest a particular type of diet. Either if you are a Gujarati or a South Indian, But now our lifestyle is that one day this, another day nephews, especially we go to some marriages, then everything is there. आजकल तो Japanese, Burmese, सब कुछ आ गया. Chinese तो बहुत outdated हो गया. And of course, you can do it in a way that your system is able to handle. But to say no at the sensory level becomes very difficult if you are not regulated the senses. The senses are like little children. बच्चों को ना बोल के देखो क्या होता है. क्या होता है? They do tantrums. They will create a whole ruckus. That's why most of the advertisements are targeted towards children. बड़ा गाड़ी भी होगा उसमें देखेंगे बच्चों को कितना comfort है. How the kid is showing to his other friends, see I have such a good car. So they focus on the children. Because senses and therefore senses are like children. They are very restless, easily manipulated. कुछ देखते हैं तो believe कर लेते हैं. We see a poster of a beautiful lady. See, मेरी पत्नी तो ऐसा नहीं है. अरे भाई वो भी ऐसा नहीं है, उसको फोटोशॉप करके ऐसा बनाया. Now as a video, we had more time. Now I had put up a video of how when they put up a advertisement of a book of some of their products, how much do they manipulate the Photoshop, the whole beauty to bring out that. And in the end they said this video we are bringing out to protect the self-esteem of the girls who become depressed seeing the ads. मैं तो ऐसा नहीं. Therefore, my self-worth is not there. So, better than sensory regulation is to understand कि अगर जो receive कर रहा है ना मन, इसको पहले पकड़ना चाहिए. क्योंकि अगर कभी-कभी करते ना, अक्सर तुमने भी किया होगा कि अगर you are going through, how many of you have kids here? You know कि you are going through an area where the kid, if he sees that, it is unstoppable. You have to get him that. So what will you do? You will ensure that वो sensory input ही उसके पास नहीं आए, उसको बहका देते हैं कुछ और चीज में. देखो वो लाल कलर का जो वो पहना हुआ है वो कैसा दिख रहा है. Then he gets distracted. So the mind, if it's not receiving the inputs if we are able to regulate the input that the mind is getting, it's much easier. Therefore it said the best way to control the senses, regulate the senses, is to avoid the places that needs control of the senses. वो जगह में जाओ जहाँ पे आपको परीक्षा हो जाएगी आपकी determination. Because you cannot know all the time. And this mind, it's a restless receiver. एक शांत हो जाता है कुछ receive करके. No, it constantly is receiving. It receives inputs, data from all these five senses simultaneously. The eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the skin. And not just that, the mind is also generating. वो केवल ले नहीं रहा है, वो generate भी कर रहा है. Like nowadays we have in ChatGPT generative AI. So I gave a talk at MIT this year called as Mind the Original AI. तो AI क्या है? सारा इनपुट्स लिया है, सारा डेटा फीड किया है और उसके बेसिस को जनरेट कर रहा है अपना जो भी है. Of course, quite brilliantly done. So the mind is also generating, and stats say almost around 60,000 thoughts per day. इसमें थोड़ा सा मेल फीमेल में अंतर है, how many thoughts males have, but on an average 60,000 thoughts per day, 80% of which are repetitive, same toxic patterns of thoughts they are having, same pattern of thoughts. And not just that, are they just receiving? It is like an ocean turbulence. कभी ये सोच रहे, कभी स्कूल, अभी यहाँ बैठे तो सोच रहे मैच क्या हो रहा होगा. As a student स्कूल में बैठा है, is just thinking I should have gone to play. One who is gone and playing must be thinking what will happen to the marks. Wherever you are, the mind is not allowing you to be at peace. It makes you disturbed, restless. And what do you speak of now with these mobiles? No? 1 minute भी हम एक चीज में नहीं रह सकते. That is, the restlessness of the mind has increased. And Krishna doesn't say, no, this is how the mind is made of. Mind का nature ही वो है. If you understand the nature, then you will be able to handle it. And this is quite an alarming number. 60,000 thoughts per day. And this is done, research is done by Cleveland Clinic. I don't know how they did this, but that's a lot. If in your house constantly visitors are coming, और जिसको जितना रहना है रह रहा है. हमारे घर में तो अगर हम कोई विजिटर को नहीं रखना चाहते तो उसको बोल देते, लेकिन माइंड के साथ जो विजिटर हमको नहीं चाहिए उसी को हम ज्यादा सोचते रहते. किसी ने ऐसे मेरे साथ क्यों किया, 20 साल तक वो विजिटर को मन में रखे. In house we don't allow unwanted visitors to be there, but in our mind we allow all unwanted, burdensome, gruesome thoughts to stay and suck our energy. And Bhagwat Gita says this is not healthy. If you are so loaded, if a ship is so loaded with so much, can it peacefully, easily navigate in times when you have to change the course? नहीं. जितना भोजा उतना मुश्किल पड़ता है. That's why nowadays it's so difficult for people to take a decision because so many thoughts. And now with internet, even to buy a toothpaste, you are burdened. एक अगर what is the best toothpaste बोल के अगर आप रिसर्च करेंगे, और if you go to Walmart, okay, D-Mart or some mall here, you will find 20 varieties of toothpaste. Ayurvedic, something from the west, something, all this Colgate, Pepsodent, ये कलर, कोई बोलता है नमक के साथ, कोई बोलता है कि ये वो. You can't make a choice peacefully because so many angles of vision are presented, and क्या होता है decision paralysis. You are not able to make a choice, or you just make a choice. तुम्हारा दोस्त जो खरीद रहा है वही खरीद लो. How many times you outsource it? वो छोटे छोटे जो बातें हैं, घर की बातें, वो पत्नी देख लेगी. बड़े बड़े बातें जो है, ट्रम्प क्या कर रहा है वो हम. And if you can't control this input, so many are coming. How can you control the quality of your life, the output of your life? Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is asking us to reflect on this. The knowledge of the Gita is not about something that we don't know. This is all that we are living with, but we are not reflecting on it. And if you don't reflect on it, you cannot refine it. Socrates says, An unexamined life is not worth living. जानवरों के जैसा चीज है, जो कुछ डाल दिया सामने वो खा रहे। जैसे यूट्यूब में कुछ कुछ लोगों को लगता है जो सर्च जर्जन ने डाल दिया है, सामने डाल दिया है, सुंदर पिक्चर ने जो भी मोबाइल वीडियो आ रहा है, मेरा धर्म में देखना है, फेसबुक पे जो भी आया है, यू कीप वॉचिंग, यू डोंट चूज टू वॉच, यू आर जस्ट बिकम कंज्यूमर टू वॉच. But we have to take charge, and if we have to take charge, then we have to go a bit higher up, because even above the mind in itself does not have the discriminatory power. Mind is a repository of thoughts, but which thought to focus on is done by the intelligence, the buddhi. The buddhi, a faculty of us, rational, which we call. Mind is mainly emotional, but the buddhi is rational. Its job is to discriminate right from the wrong. क्या अच्छा है, क्या बुरा है. It's, and Krishna in the Gita he says, व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि एकेहा कुरुनंदना बहुशाकायन्तश्च बुद्धयो अव्यवसायिना. He says our mind is like a field. हमारा जीवन जो है ना एक खेती है, क्षेत्र है, agricultural farm. और व्यवसाय means to cultivate something. And if you just keep open a land, कुछ land को open कर दिया, वहाँ पे कुछ भी उग सकता है. Will you get purposeful, productive crops there? नहीं. Half of it will be weeds, or unwanted crops only will grow. But बुद्धि, the faculty of buddhi, it determines क्या मेरे जीवन में जरूरी है. If you want to be a gymnast, then because of that purpose that your intelligence has hooked on to, that will filter मेरे लिए क्या अच्छा है to achieve the goal और मेरे लिए क्या अच्छा नहीं. And likewise for what do you want to achieve, and that purpose gives your intelligence a direction. You want to be healthy? Yes, that's a good purpose. Then it gives you direction. But unfortunately, you want to be healthy also, you want to be happy also. You want food to be tasty and healthy. लेकिन बहुत बार ये दोनों साथ में नहीं आते हैं. Because of bad way of cooking or something, I've eaten in some South Indian homes भोपला. कद्दू है ना, कद्दू को मैं कुछ तमिल फैमिली है, दिल्ली में रहते हैं. What a bhopla she makes. So if I get this bhopla, I will never hate bhopla. So till then I was like, कद्दू क्यों बना रहे हो? आप गाली भी देते ना कद्दू कहीं का. But if we don't have that right purpose, we will not be able to make decisions in the right way. Like Arjuna was bewildered. कार्पण्य दोषो अपहत स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढचेता. Krishna, I don't know what is right. Should I fight with my husband, with my wife, or should I compromise? Should I raise this issue in the office about this wrong thing that's happening, or should I just mind my own business? It's a dilemma. Different dilemmas we face, because both are right. One is dharmically right, another is arthically. There is dharma, ethics, and there is economics. In the Vedas there is Artha Shastra and Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastra is about ethics. क्या तुम्हारे लिए क्या अच्छा है. But there is also Artha, what is economically right. And sometimes ethics and economics, they don't go together. Because we see in this world, if you are ethically right, तुम वहीं के वहीं रह जाओगे. I don't know what about dairy, but in other professions, जो थोड़ा तिरछा रहता है वो ये आगे बढ़ जाता है. But then deep in your heart you know that what all good for you have done. So you are never at peace. You are always in insecurity. कोई मेरा पकड़ लेगा, मेरा cheating है या वो है ये. Although you have achieved, there is fear in you like Duryodhana. दृष्ट्वा तु पांडवानीकम व्यूढ़म दुर्योधन स्तथा. वो देख रहे हैं पांडवों को, पांडव कम है, कौरव ज्यादा है, लेकिन भय किसको लग रहा है? जिसके पास ज्यादा पैसा है वो डर रहा है जिसके पास कम पैसा है, क्योंकि जो कम पैसा है वो खुश लग रहा है. तो मैंने क्या किया, मेरे पास तो ज्यादा पैसा है, मैं तो मर्सिडीज में जा रहा हूँ और वो जो टायर चला रहा है बच्चा वो ज्यादा खुश दिख रहा है. Is money bad? Is economics bad? Gita doesn't say economics is bad, finance is bad. Neither Gita says, ethics is bad. We have to balance these two. And that is the art of Gita. And intelligence can be trained and can be sharpened. How? Through reflection, through purification. And once intelligence is trained and purified, the voice of the intelligence becomes the voice of God. That you can trust that. Like Dharmaraj Yudhishthira, he said that once my intelligence says something, I know it cannot be a dharma, because you are so much in tune with God that you can trust your decisions. तो आधा जीवन निर्णय लेने में चिंतित रहते हैं और दूसरा आधा जीवन जो निर्णय लिया है वो सही है कि नहीं उसमें चिंतित रहते हैं, क्योंकि हमको हमारे बुद्धि पे ही विश्वास नहीं है. क्या मैंने सही जगह पे लड़का दिया है? लड़की दिया है, लड़का तो देते नहीं है. लड़की दिया है, जॉब से ही चुना है कि नहीं, कॉलेज से ही चुना है कि नहीं. And because of this lack of our energies getting wasted. And of course modern research also says that the more you reflect and spend time thinking about your life and priorities with proper guidance, the more your faculty to ration beyond social influence increases. कभी-कभी ना to live you have to die. Means दूसरे लोगों के ओपिनियंस को इतना सीरियस मत लो तुम्हारे जीवन के लिए. खुद की पहले सोचो, फिर दूसरों का ओपिनियंस को. हम ना दूसरों का ओपिनियन को अपना ओपिनियन बनाना चाहते हैं ताकि उनके नजरों में हम अच्छे व्यक्ति बने. एंड अर्जुन वाज गोइंग बाय दैट. लोग क्या सोचेंगे ये सोचते हुए अर्जुन अपने बारे में सोच रहा था. कृष्णा कट दैट ऑफ, because this is a elaborate presentation. So why do we get stressed? This was the point which we conclude. First of all, our sensory inputs from places where we are taking our data, what we are seeing is corrupted, is contaminated. Wrong type of thoughts, visuals when we see, when we get exposed. क्या होगा? उस प्रकार के thoughts रहेंगे बच्चों में भी, हम में भी. And when the sense inputs is wrong, then the mind latches to those things. बचपन तो याद है ना? Like I remember when we used to come after watching a movie, me and my brother used to practice all the shots. उसको गुस्सा मारूंगा, उसके ऊपर जंप करूंगा. The mind latches on to the negative only more than the positive. जो भी इनपुट मिला है आपको, सब आप लोगों ने तारीफ किया, लेकिन एक ने आके आपको नीलामी किया, एंड योर माइंड विल थिंक अबाउट दैट ओनली, उसको पुनः से करोगे, क्यों ऐसा बोला? बाकी जो 9 लोगों ने बोला उसके बारे में नहीं सोचेगा माइंड। वन पर्सन विल eat up your 90% of your mind. The mind latches to the wrong things, and because the mind is only focusing on what you don't have, therefore then there is stress, or you have to perform, you have to do something which you are not able to do, you are not able to be honest, your desires are not getting fulfilled. You have certain desires, expectations of people, they get frustrated because the mind is dysfunctional. It is not able to, you are not able to perform the way you can perform or give results. And because of that, there is anger, frustration. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसान् संगस्तेषु उपजायते. ये circle, how do we from, it starts with concern, then to anxiety, then to stress, then to depression. And don't be in denial that you are not in depression. 90% of the people are in depression. If they accept it, they can come out of it. If you don't accept it, you will go further into it. Anger and delusion, you become either you explode or you implode. अंदर ही अपने आप को कोस रहे, अपने आप का सेल्फ वर्थ को गिरा रहे, that you are good for nothing, you are not good enough, and you lose all memory of all the achievements, abilities you already have. एक चीज, एक सब्जेक्ट गया है ना, बाकी सब तो ठीक है, लेकिन सब भूल जाते हैं. ऐसा लगता है कि मैं कुछ अच्छा ही नहीं हूँ. आई एम नॉट वर्थ ऑफ एनीथिंग. लॉस ऑफ मेमोरी, एंड देन वी ruin our purpose, our relationships, our peace of mind, which is the circle why we get depressed. The reason is we are not able to regulate. ये जो फ्रेमवर्क है ना, हायरार्की, न सेंसेस को फिल्टर किया है राइट इनपुट्स के लिए, न माइंड को दिया है व्हाट टू फोकस ऑन, बिकॉज द इंटेलिजेंस इज नॉट द राइट प्लेस. So 76% of Indian professionals report workloaded stress. 41% of decisions under stress are driven by emotion. जब स्ट्रेस में रहता है ना, you cannot rationally think. जो फीलिंग्स में आया, जो सोसाइटी ने बोला, उसके हिसाब से आप डिसीजन ले लेते हैं. 3 times more likely to develop depression without mental framework. If you are not regulated in this whole mind intelligence network, then you are 3 times more likely not to go into the negative spiral of the mind. And the whole game is here. What do we narrate about our identity? Ahankara means jo, aham means me, kara means maker. So literally this means I maker. खुद के बारे में हम क्या सोचते हैं, हमारा आइडेंटिटी क्या, मैं कौन हूँ. Like a student, if a student is identifies with his marks and his marks go low, he goes low. But if you identify with understanding subject, marks are an outcome. Marks हमारे हाथ में नहीं है. But मुझे मेरा identity क्या है, student who has come here to understand the subject, not about performance, but about grasping. And if you focus on that, you will understand. मैंने इतना ही ग्रास्प किया, इसके लिए मेरा इतना ही आउटपुट है. अगर मेरा ग्रास्प अच्छा रहेगा, मेरा आउटपुट अच्छा है, but if I attach with the marks, no, how can I have this marks or social pressure? Recently I met a family, only son. The parents were so forceful on this boy, why are you not getting enough marks? One fine day, when his results came, he hanged himself. एक ही बच्चा था, इतना प्रेशर आ गया उसको पेरेंट्स से कि वो घर पे ही सुसाइड कर लिया. Right? We are gauging our children based on the external. उनका अहंकार, उनका आकार क्या होना है? अगर मार्क्स अच्छा है तो तुम अच्छा है. Your marks make you, or your money makes you, or your position makes you. Therefore, they say that most of the professionals have bigger stress post their job once they retire, because till then they were having their identity with their rank. Because of their rank, they were getting the facility, the respect, or even in the house, because he is a breadwinner, earner. But once that rank is gone, उसका अहंकार गिरता है. और क्योंकि उसका पूरा आइडेंटिटी उसके बेसिस पे था, he goes into a severe, mental trauma. क्योंकि उसको जो रेस्पेक्ट था, it was never for who he was, but what he was representing, or what was his position. Therefore, one king said, if who I am is what I have, and if I don't have, then who am I? मैं कौन हूँ beyond what I possess? I am intelligent. अगर आपका intelligence by because of some say जाता है, तो आप कुछ भी नहीं है. I am beautiful. आपका beauty कुछ चीज़ों के कारण जाता है, age के कारण या because of some rowdy. You are nothing. And our ahankar latches onto this, all these external things, और वो बढ़ता है तो ठीक है कुछ दिन तक, but वो जब वो घटता है, then we have severe issue, identity crisis. So therefore, as sometimes there is, like in the Napoleon army, it said that when they lost the war, they were not sad that they lost the war. They were more sad that now they don't have that rank, that position that they were having, and they went into quite a difficult trauma, because the ego was fused with the position that they were having. Family हो, financial हो, professional हो. We'll discuss more about this. So therefore, what is your narrative about who you are? Sometimes our narrative is based on our parents. मेरे बाप बड़ा है तो मैं बड़ा हूँ. But all these narratives, it is not our true self. It is a narration. It is a linking. जैसे एक बार एक व्यक्ति ने iPhone 17 Pro Max खरीदा और जेब में डाल के जा रहा था पीछे की जेब में. आजकल तो पता है फोन इतने बड़े हैं कि जेब छोटे पड़ जाते हैं. मैंने तो सुना कि आजकल सैमसंग और एप्पल शोरूम्स के बगल में टेलर शॉप खोल रहे हैं जेब बढ़ाने के लिए. तो once one guy slipped and he fell on his back and he heard a crack. He prayed, "Oh God, let it be my bone, not my phone." मेरा हड्डी टूट जाए चलेगा, वो भगवान उसको ठीक कर देंगे. फोन टूट जाएगा तो कोई ठीक नहीं करने वाला. 2 लाख रुपए डाला उसको. आपका गाड़ी खरीदा है आपने, अच्छा क्लीन मस्त, और एक कौवा आके उसके ऊपर अपना सुबह सुलभ शौचालय कर देता है. और क्योंकि आपका अहंकार उसके साथ कनेक्टेड है, अहंकार, Your identity is your car. और गाड़ी को कुछ हो गया, मेरे गाड़ी को कैसे ठुका रहे, मैं कैसे उधर, so you get bothered with stuff. Therefore, what is your narrative? That's अहंकार. What mirror में हम किसको देख रहे हैं? Mirror on the wall, you are most beautiful of the all. ऐसा बोलते हैं. And the deep self is the Atma, the true self which doesn't change. And Krishna says, make this as a foundation. Like in the Navy, when we have to go to a particular destination, can we depend on the winds? Now the winds are towards the north, therefore we'll go to Russia. Let's depend on the winds. Because if the winds are north direction, will it be always north? It won't be. Can you depend on the waves? For the waves will take me to the destination. You have to depend on something that doesn't change, which is the North Star, the pole star. And all the compasses are based on that pole star. And that deep self, that which doesn't change, when we hook on to that when we make that as our anchor, फिर बाकी flight इधर भी गया, ship इधर भी गया, we are not worried. I know I have gone off course, I'll come back. But when we don't have an anchor, when we don't have our identity in that thing that doesn't change, then anyone can just manipulate us. Social media is manipulating us, society is manipulating us, our mind is manipulating us. Therefore, this is so important to know that मुझे कोई कुछ कर नहीं सकता है, real identity. नैनं चिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि, नैनं दहति पावका, न चैनं क्लेदन्त्यापो, न शोष्यते मारुतः. Krishna is saying, Arjuna, understand, you are indestructible. तुमको न फायर कुछ कर सकता है, न हवा कुछ कर सकता है, न पानी कुछ कर सकता है. So when you are fixated on your origin that I am a soul given a temporary position, body to perform particular duty, you do your duty, you are not identified. This is my dharma. I am not attached to my rank. मेरा रैंक बढ़ाने के लिए मैं ये शिप में नहीं बैठा हूँ. मेरा ये स्वधर्म है भगवान की नजरों में. मेरी आत्मा की परिचय के साथ I will be loyal to my dharma. And if that is not there, then things will not get us bothered. And what is the nature of that self that Krishna explains? Our Atma, the deep self, is eternal. It doesn't die. It is conscious. It is not like a dead matter. है लेकिन उसको awareness ही नहीं कि वो है. No, we are. The Atma is in its original state. It is therefore we have this great eagerness to know. क्यों? क्योंकि हमारे आत्मा से वो जिज्ञासा का वृत्ति है. And the consciousness is not produced by the brain. The brain is like just an antenna. The Atma is that which is trying to receive the signals through the antenna. And the most important nature of the deep self is that it is seeking for pleasure, ananda. We all want to be happy, right? ऐसा कोई है जो खुश, जो दुखी रहना चाहता है? No, we all want to be happy. Why? Because that is our true nature. It is just that we are searching for the right thing in the wrong place. अगर आपका बटुआ पर्स दादर में खो गया, कोलाबा में ढूंढने में मिलेगा? नहीं मिलेगा. So search for happiness not in material things that they are useful. Material things are useful. This iPhone is useful for doing certain things, but don't depend on this for your happiness. Don't make, because ये इसका happiness तो 3 महीने का हैप्पीनेस है। आईफोन 17 सितंबर में निकला, नवंबर तक खुश हूँ। बाद में 18 प्रो मैक्स का जो नया फीचर्स के बारे में सोचता हूँ, सोचता अरे यार, और 6 महीना रुक जाता था और नया फोन आ जाता था, कोई पैसे नहीं। 3 months of gadget happiness. In Bombay, lot of towers are coming. जो कोई भी टावर में है ना, वो सोच रहा है काश और थोड़ा वेट करता था तो नियारा में फ्लैट ले लेता था या इसमें ले लेता था। Because everyone is coming up with new features, some other features. Sometimes it gets so complex, you don't know. Because we are all looking for happiness, but we are trying to search that in material things. Material things are there for us for a particular reason, to do a activity, service. Therefore, that joy that we are looking for can only come when that Atma connects to its source. बच्चे अपने माता पिता के साथ ही खुश रहेंगे ना, आपको जब छोटे बड़े रहेंगे अलग है, but a fish will be happy in its source, the water. A child will be happy in the lap of a mother. Same with the Atma will experience its fullest joy in its connection to Paramatma, to God. Therefore tomorrow, we want to take how do we reconnect with God, because of which वो कनेक्शन है तो ये यहाँ पे हम ढूंढ रहे हैं। सिंगापुर में एक शार्क टैंक, anybody been to Singapore? So if next time when you go, you should go to this shark tank. And in this shark tank, the amusing thing is that you can swim with the sharks. I'm sure you're all. How many of you have seen sharks here? Actually, in the ocean? I have not seen that. I hope I don't face an unfortunate situation seeing them. Difficult thing. But in this shark tank in Singapore, you can swim with the sharks without any chains. It is not that the shark is imprisoned or anything. Shark swim कर रहा है और आप भी swim कर रहे हैं. And you can comment allow also. And people are amused. Shark का तो favorite food है, उसके लिए तो pizza है ना. It likes human flesh. How is it that the shark is not eating? Because before they release the shark into the tank, they feed the shark so much. उसको इतना भर भर के खिला देते हैं। और जानवरों के साथ अच्छी बात ये है कि उस दिन का अगर पेट भर गया, वो कल के बारे में नहीं सोचते क्योंकि उनके पास फ्रिज नहीं है। मनुष्य भी ऐसे ही थे। हमारे आपको पूर्वजों को पूछेंगे तो आज का सब्जी आज ही बनाना पड़ेगा, 10 दिन के बाद नहीं बना सकते। So the shark, because it is fed full, when it enters into the tank, it has no expectation or no need to trouble the human. तो वो अपने दुनिया में है and the man can swim. The reason there is trouble, there is stress, there is depression in this world is because we are all hungry inside at the soul level. We are disconnected from God. And वो जब तक भरेगा नहीं, बाकी सब जितना भी करेंगे, it is like a fish trying to be happy outside the ocean. बहुत तड़पेगा, उसको एसी में बिठाओ, कहीं पे भी बिठाओ, थोड़ा रिलीफ मिलेगा। But ultimately, when you connect, जैसे एक छोटा बच्चा है, कुछ भी करो, उसको मोबाइल देंगे तो भी शांत होगा। रॉन्ग एग्जाम्पल है, बट अभी बच्चे ऐसे हो गए, फिश आउट ऑफ वाटर हो गए, मोबाइल के बिना बच्चे। So how do we connect to God? What is the science of connection? That is yoga. There are different paths to connect, and we'll understand. In fact, we today understood 4 which we can get disturbed, bothered. And to summarize, this becomes that the mind has to be, is not an enemy, but it needs training. कि क्या इनपुट को सीरियसली लेना चाहिए, क्या नहीं लेना चाहिए. Like you have certain amount of ammunition. वो रेडार में जो कुछ भी है उसके ऊपर डालते रहेंगे. जब एक्चुअल चीज आएगा वो सामने will not be left. And the intelligence, the decision commander, that needs to be strengthened. The mind needs to be regulated, trained. Intelligence needs to be strengthened. And how will the intelligence be strengthened? Through reflection and through purification. The Bhagwat Gita, when we hear, हमारा mind क्या हो रहा है? It is reflecting on itself. In electronic system, there is something called as feedback loop. You all heard this. Why there is a feedback loop? Because जैसे feedback loop रहता है, noise निकल जाता है. The noise element is removed. In our own life, if you don't feedback, if you don't reflect, we will not be able to remove the noise that is in our lives. And along with that, reflection, purification, higher instruction of the Gita. And what the non-real, the narrative ego to है, that you wear a body like a uniform, you are not the rank, you are just playing the role there. So strip the label, don't be attached to the label, just be sincere to the work. That I am here, just like when John F. Kennedy was visiting Goddard's Space Center, he asked the janitor, Chaprasi, भाई तुम क्या कर रहा? Instead of saying मैं इधर झाड़ू पोंछा मार रहा हूँ, he said I am helping the man to go to the moon. Because everything matters. अगर साफ नहीं रहेगा तो infection वो rocket को बिगाड़ देगा. So although he is doing a janitor's job, his identity is not that मैं तो एक चपरासी हूँ. His identity is connected to the bigger mission. When the आत्मा level पे जब हमारा bigger purpose में रहेंगे, छोटा बड़ा ये फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. Am I making a difference? How can I contribute in a better way? If somebody else is contributing, you don't become jealous. You try to do your best. You become your best. And the deathless Atma or the deep self, that is seeking for joy, and that joy will come from Krishna, from God. And tomorrow in our session we'll discuss about, is there God? How many gods are there? बहुत सारे ऐसा प्रश्न रहता है. Does God exist? I was a highly scientific guy, so science, Big Bang theory is there, Darwin's evolution is there. Who is God? Can we see him? देख सकते हैं क्या? Yoga is just physical yoga or beyond postures. And how do I reconnect the mind to the source? So these questions we'll take tomorrow, 7 p.m. Sorry for going a little over time because we started a little late. And any questions that any of you have, any reflections? This is usually a 2-hour session. I try to conclude it to 1.5 hours, but tomorrow will be more. If you are on time, I often say कि to start on time, to end on time is my job, but to start on time is your job. आप समय पे आएंगे तो हम समय पे complete कर सकते हैं. But thank you very much. Being very patient, very reflective. I'm sure this has given a lot of food for your thoughts and for feelings. There's so much in the Bhagavad Gita. It really enhances the quality of your life, your relationships, your journey. Please do spend some time. This is the manual of life. Just like there is manual for a boat, there is manual for life. You may think I know it all, but in times of crisis, जैसे IIT में physics में होता था. कुछ कुछ स्टूडेंट्स को ना सारे फॉर्मूलाज पता है, लेकिन एग्जाम टाइम में ये पता नहीं कि कौन सा फॉर्मूला कहाँ पर होता है. Say maybe you know all the things, but कहाँ पे गुस्सा होना चाहिए, कहाँ पे शांत रहना चाहिए. These are not like formulas. You know that science when you connect to the Bhagwat Gita's wisdom. Then you know which applies where. Else people are there to know. नहीं कृष्ण also भगवान ने तो युद्ध कराया था, अरे क्यों कराया था, क्या पता, समझो. So if there are no thoughts, no questions, no thoughts, no questions, we'll conclude here. And tomorrow, please do come, please do invite your friends around so that they can, although they are naval officers, everyone needs to navigate their life. The government of India may take care of us, our physical journey, but our soul's journey, it's all in our hands. Do we make a mess out of it, or do we make a message out of it? Hare Krishna.